What's going on, everybody? We are here to talk about Solo. This is going to be my movie review for the Zach Pack channel. A lot to talk about. I'm going to break this video down into two 15-minute videos because that's all they'll let me upload. So if the video cuts out, I'm going to try to make the outro and everything for it. But just in case, I will have the second part uploaded the following day. So stay tuned. So, a lot to talk about. I went to see the movie last Friday. There's a lot of, and this is going to be a spoiler alert, so if you haven't seen it, you might not want to continue to watch. A lot of issues. I was very disappointed in Ron Howard's film. I was expecting a lot more. I felt like he did a lousy job putting this film together, and I know that he came through, was kind of thrown onto this project. Kathleen Kennedy, Disney, or Lucasfilm brought him in to finish up after they fired Lord Miller. I think that's their name. Anyways, I didn't realize that. I thought that this was going to be a standalone film. I didn't realize that they were going to continue opening up these story points and making this into another trilogy. I don't understand why they're doing that. I think that where the big problem is right now is that with Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy is not really focused on making these stories great and bringing in the right director to do these films. She's got this weird vision. And maybe not. Maybe she just don't care, and she just doesn't care what happens. It's disgraceful. As a director, your job is to direct. Your job is to take this story and bring it to life and get the right people. Hire anybody and everybody you need to get this story told. And right now, I believe that they're not focusing on the story anymore, and the fans are upset. They are losing. I don't want to say losing, but fans are getting turned off because of this stuff, and they just seen it with the sales. I mean, the box office was a flop, and a lot of people figured it would be. A lot of people didn't really want this movie. Nobody wants to see somebody else play Han. I personally wanted this movie. I wanted to see it. And I was disappointed. It is the very first movie that I've ever seen where I literally felt disgusted. And it wasn't because of the actors' performances either, because they did a phenomenal job. Donald Glover was amazing. I feel like he nailed the part. And the sad thing is that even though their performances were so good, the story was complete garbage. I mean, it was garbage. It was put together sloppy, and I don't expect that from somebody like Ron Howard. I think a big problem with right now with that's going on is Kathleen Kennedy. I think that she needs to be removed, and they need to get somebody else in there. And I have seen time and time again where she has quoted, we need to change things. We need to bring people in that are not Star Wars fans to direct these movies, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because we need to care. We need to take care of these fans, the legacy, and she don't care. She don't care, and I think that's why they brought in Rian Johnson, supposedly a huge Star Wars fan. I'll tell you something, if he was as big a fan as he says he is, he wouldn't have done what he did with The Last Jedi. He would not have destroyed the legacy of a character, one of the most loved characters of all cinema, and done what he did with it. Maybe he thought it would be so creative and it would be so groundbreaking, but it wasn't, because you know what? You're not George Lucas, Rian Johnson. You suck. And I'm sorry. And if you're friends of mine, or if you're people that watch the channel and you get offended by that, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. He, as a director that is small time like Rian Johnson, I mean, he had maybe one or two decent movies. I've never seen either one, so I can't judge him based on that, but I think if you're going to be brought in to do Star Wars, that's an honor that you're taking on the largest fan base and the most dedicated and hardcore fan base in the whole fucking world. Okay, there is nothing that even compares to Star Wars fans. Star Wars brings us together. It unites all people from all places in the world, and it brings us together, because we all care about the same thing, and we don't care where we come from, race, any of that crap. And Ryan Johnson, what he did was take a big knife and cut right down the middle of all of that. And as a director, that you should be so thankful to be brought on, and you do something like that. I would have fired him right on the spot. The only thing that I agreed with what Kathleen said was the fact that she gave him, creative control. But I think that's a pretty loose term, considering she gave Ryan Johnson complete control. Well, what about Lord Miller? They got fired because they had creative differences. What's the difference between them and him? I feel like they were not playing to her tune, and if you're not in the party that she wants you to be in, and you're out. And that's disgraceful, because your number one priority should be the fans, because that's where you make your money. And they won't do this with Marvel, but they'll do it with Star Wars, and I feel like they're turning Star Wars into their own personal social experiment, and it's sad, very sad. We'll cut to the end here, talk about the Darth Maul scene. But yeah, it was cool. It was cool. You could hear the clinking of the metal, so you could tell, they were keeping true to the cartoon. Was it Clone Wars, or was that one Rebels? I think it was Rebels. I think it was both. I mean, it's in both, but really, that was probably the only cool scene in the entire movie. I did like the chemistry between, like I said, this isn't about the actors. This isn't about Alden. He did an amazing job, and I feel like she has run them through the mud. And they did such an amazing job, and they worked so hard, and they deserve the credit. And I feel sad for them, because they got kind of screwed. This movie should not have came out right now. The fact that Disney, I don't know, obviously they own it, but I cannot believe that Bob Iger is not stepping in and doing something about this, because I'll tell you something. Disney is a business, and they're a business to make money, millions and billions of dollars. And companies, whether or not they're worth $500 billion or $2 billion, they're not going to risk money. And it's very sad that they're allowing this. And I guarantee you, the day the minute those numbers came through in that box office, I guarantee Kathleen Kennedy's phone was ringing, or she was getting a text, and I guarantee it was Bob Iger calling saying, hey, what is going on? And we need to get this fixed. Now, I hope he's intelligent enough to say, you know what? Maybe it's time for Kathleen Kennedy to be put in the pasture, because she needs to be gone. And they need to put somebody in, they need somebody that's going to have a business side and, obviously a fan side. I think that is not only profitable for both Lucasfilm and Disney, but you care about the fans. That was the thing with George Lucas. He got some backlash during episode 1 because of the way Yoda looked. And if you go back and you can watch behind the scenes, that is one of the number one things he talks about getting fixed, because he said the fans noticed it, they weren't happy with it, we need to change it. And that was the direction that he took. Now, I know that he's not always the nicest person. He doesn't go up to fans a lot, but to him, it's making movies. It's what he does. He don't look at himself as, a celebrity that is loved by, millions of people. It's his job. That's what he does. And he knows he's good at it. He's confident. And he doesn't get big-headed by it, So when fans are cheering and stuff, it doesn't, it's not that big of a deal to him, because he knows he's successful. He knows he does a good job. And You know, it's no different than a guy that's an awesome construction worker that builds a home and builds a really nice home. You know, you're not going to see him expecting to get high fives. But you know why? Because he knows he does a good job, or her, or whoever. So big part. Maybe I can keep this into a 15-minute video. I don't know. We'll see. They need to get something done. We need. I really think Kathleen Kennedy needs to be gone. We need to get somebody else in there. We need to do something. The fans need to step up. I was not part of the boycott for Solo. I don't think that's a direction that we need to go as fans. I think what we need to do is we need to be smart, and we need to write letters. We need to get in contact with Disney and Lucasfilm, and we need to tell them our grievances. Do it on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I think starting a boycott is not the way we should go. I think that kind of is too diabolical. It has a more of a sinister feel to it. I'm not for that. And not only that, you know, it's not the actors' fault. They didn't do a bad job. You know, a lot of these actors are huge Star Wars fans. I mean, they love it, and that's why they're so proud to do it. You know, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's just their job. You know, most of the time they don't even know what the movie. They don't even know most of the movie at all. You know, they know their parts and stuff, but it's different from when we see it to when they see it. So we can't put the blame on them. We can't get mad at Alden and stuff. It's not his fault, and he did a great job. Like I said, if they're gonna make more movies, that's fine. I didn't have a problem with that, but they should have focused on getting this movie good. They should have waited until December, given themselves an extra 6 months to work on it, fix up the details, you know, kind of let things cool down, because a big part of that was the fact that Last Jedi was bad. Okay, people were pissed, and if they would have just given us the Skywalker scene that we wanted, where he comes out and just beats the hell out of that guy, it would have been fine. There would have been people upset, yes, because Skywalker dies, but you know, it would have been tolerable just to give us fans what we all wanted to see. And maybe there's fans out there that didn't want to see that, but you know what? They're very few, because everyone I've talked to wanted to see that. You know, make a movie about Darth Vader going through a ship killing everybody. You know, that's a movie that I want to go see. I'll go watch that for 2.5 hours. I mean, so would anybody. We got to do something to get this ship steered in the right direction. Can JJ pull it off? Episode 9, it's possible. Force Awakens wasn't terrible. It was a good film. But, you know, it just depends. You know, J.J. Abrams also insulted us as fans. You know, he made comments about us, guys like me, being scared of women and stuff like that, and that's ridiculous. And I think it was ridiculous for him to say that. And when you're a director and you start, you know, taking criticisms as part of your job, okay, it's no different than a guy running a cash register or a woman running a cash register. You can't go and yell at every single customer when they're rude to you, because that's part of your job. You got to deal with the assholes. You got to deal with the bullshit sometimes, or you're never going to make any money. And that is the problem that they're facing right now, is it's the backlash, because they don't understand why fans are upset, because not everybody thinks like they do. And they are corporate elites, Hollywood elites. You know, they're not like me and probably whoever views this, or just ordinary people. And if they cared about Star Wars and they were such huge fans like they say,